Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking another look at the EFG 48 volt Powerwall and how it can communicate with your computer and the Growatt. So let's get started. Alright, in part one of the EFG battery review, I believe I left you with kind of looking inside the battery and then just kind of talking about the casing, putting it up, kind of talking about how heavy this thing is. But today I really want to talk about the communication. In that last video I had no idea how I would get this battery to communicate with the computer or how I can get it to communicate with the Growatt. And I tried to figure this all out myself, which is actually kind of a bad idea because you run a lot of loops, you do a lot of research, and you know it's really hit and miss. So it's really important that whoever you buy your battery from, that you contact them directly, and most likely they'll know the answer, and that way you could just follow the steps that they send you, and there's a lot less pain involved in the process. So first thing I want to show you is how to connect this battery to a laptop. So let's do that. Okay, right now the battery is completely turned off. The Growatt is turned off as well, and my laptop is turned on. What you'll want to do is you'll want to download a software package called PBMS Tools version 2.5 FN. I believe you can find that on the EFG Battery website. If not, you can find it on, I'll have a link to it on my website as well. That's www.off-grid-basement.com. Okay, so after you get that software installed, that's pretty much straightforward. You're just installing it just like any other application on your Windows computer. I am not about to get into Apple or Mac because I really don't know much about them. So this is all going to be Windows based. Okay, the next thing is to actually get a physical cable connection to the laptop from the battery. This is my first mistake by not just contacting the battery company and asking what kind of cable I should get. What I did is I went to Amazon and I was like, oh, okay, all it is a USB to DB9 connector, and then you have to connect a DB9 to RJ11 connector. I could just buy those cables separately. There's plenty of links on Amazon, and I will just do that, connect them together, and it'll work just fine. So let me show you all the cables that I ended up buying and none of them working. So right here, first of all, I bought a DB9 cable right here. And this DB9 cable, I bought this little adapter, but this is an RJ45 adapter. So this is basically an Ethernet port, and that is 8 pins. You want a 6-pin, which is an RJ11, I believe. But what I tried to do is, this adapter is the DB9 to RJ45. I connected this onto here, and then I just used an ordinary Ethernet cable, and I tried to connect that from here, onto the battery. But I quickly found out that this RS232 is an RJ11 plug, not an RJ45. And I just want to let you know that if I mess up with any of these, cable names, RJ45, RJ11, DB9, please let me know in the comments. It all tends to get a bit confusing after a while. Well, long story short, this didn't work because this physical plug did not work for the RS232 port. So I was like, okay, I will get a plug that is actually an RJ45 to RJ11 cable. And guess what? This didn't work either. That didn't work. So I went back on Amazon. Let's get these out of here. I went back on Amazon and I just bought a DB9 to USB plug, and then it plugs into an RJ11 plug. So all of this actually connects to the computer and connects to the battery. And guess what? That didn't work either. And that's when I got stumped. I was like, you know what? These ports work just fine. It must be the actual pin configurations in the cable that need to be different. And I didn't have any idea. In the manual, it does talk about pin configurations and stuff, but that's just a little bit above my head. So I contacted EFG-Battery, and they quickly told me what type of cable that I needed to get. What you need is this cable right here. And it is exactly like that other cable. It's a USB cable to DB9 and then DB9 to RJ11 plug. So it's exactly the same physical format, but the wiring is different. The pins are different. So if you want to communicate the EFG battery to your computer, you need to get this cable. This cable is also on their website, and I will have a link to it in the description. So let's go ahead and turn this battery on and get it communicating with the laptop. Using this cable right here, all you need to do, connect this into your battery and connect this into the USB port of your computer, and then turn your battery on. So we're going to connect it right here at the RS-232 port. And this side we're going to connect to the laptop. And you'll see this little red light right here that turns on. That means that there's power to the cable itself. If this is the first time you're doing this process, you'll notice that your laptop installs some drivers, and that is pretty much the communication drivers for the USB to DB9 connection. So let that install first before you try to start up the software. Okay, let's go ahead and turn the battery on. Okay, and then after you get the cable connected to your computer and the battery is turned on, go ahead and open up the PBMS software. All right, and when you open it up, it may look like this. But don't worry, if you go down to the lower right-hand corner, you'll see the little scissors icon, and then you'll see, I believe that's the Chinese flag icon. Just go ahead and click on that, and you can select your language. So I'm going to go ahead and hit English and hit the blue button. I believe that's okay. And you'll quickly see that everything switches over to a language that you can read. Okay, now that you can actually read all the buttons and the tabs and stuff like that, let's go ahead and click on Try Connect, because you can see that in the serial port up here, it's using COM port 5, pack 1. Your baud rate is 9600, which you want to make sure this is on 9600. It shouldn't be on anything different. And I believe all you have to do is hit Try Connect. It says searching, found, and then down here it says COM normal, and it will show that it's reading the battery. It's pretty much cycling the reads of the battery while you're using it. And now here, now you're connected to your battery. You can see all the information that your BMS is reading from the battery pack. So let's go over this software. In the pack information, you can see that the pack voltage is 52.86. Pack current, right now I don't have anything connected to it, so it's showing 0, 0. Once I turn on the Growatt inverter, you'll see some numbers here. The SOC is state of charge, so it's at 47%. SOH is a state of health, and it's at 100%. Remaining capacity, that's the milliamp hours. And then the full capacity is the full capacity of the battery at milliamp hours. So my full capacity is actually 103. I was going to do a capacity test in this video, but I actually accidentally did a full capacity test already, because what I did was I left my Growatt inverter on without having it plugged into a wall outlet or anything like that, and it drained my battery down to 0. So I went ahead and plugged into the wall, the Growatt started back up, and it charged it back up to 100% because at that point I didn't have any communication. That full cycle, it did boost it back up to 103 amp hours. So you could say that was the capacity test, because now you can see that the battery cycle is actually 2. All right, in the center section right here, you can see all the temperatures in Celsius. You can see the 4 Celsius. You can see that the 4 temperature sensors that are on the cells right here at the top. There's also the temperature on the MOSFETs, and then also the temperature like just in the environment of the case. Down here, you can see the millivolts of each cell. So you can read 1 through 16. And at the top, you can see the max voltage. The cell with the max voltage is right here. It's cell number 8. And the cell with the minimum voltage is cell number 3. And then you can see the voltage difference between those cells, which is 3 millivolts. So that's really good. Over here, you can see the system status. These will light up when you are using that part of the battery. So right now we have charging on and discharging on, but you will see these other lights will light up if you are charging or discharging. And then you have your alarm status, your protect status, and your fault status. This right here is a very good top-level view of what your battery is doing and how everything looks. I really like this cell voltage by cell, like how you can see the millivolts, because if there's something weird going on with your battery at any point, you can plug it into a computer and you can quickly see if you have a cell that's running high or a cell that's dipping really low for some reason. And then the other thing that I think that you would benefit from is, I believe, the parameter settings. And these are all the parameter settings that the BMS is holding right now. So you can just click on read all, and it will fill in all the parameters that the battery is set to. I don't believe this battery is set to be able to change any of these values, but at least you can get a clear indication. Like, for example, you will know the overvoltage alarm for each cell is at 3.6. The overvoltage protection is 3.7. You can also see the pack protection for overvoltage. Then you can see the undervoltage for each cell, and the undervoltage for the whole pack. You can also see your alarms, your temperatures, all of those over and under settings. So this page is it's a really good view of all the protections that this battery has. So let's go ahead and click back on real monitoring. And once you are done with viewing this on your computer, all you have to do is close and then close the program. And that's it. All right, now that we've gone over the connection from the battery to the computer, let's go over the connection between the battery and my Growatt. Okay, the battery is still on. You can see that the display is still on. We have a state of charge light indicator, and the run light is on right now. And we still have it connected to the computer. Let me go over the things that I did wrong before showing you exactly how to connect it up, which it actually made me kind of irritated when I actually got it connected up and it worked, because it was so easy. I made it so hard. So let's go ahead and talk about, first of all, what I tried to do and it failed. Okay, the first thing I tried to do is I took an ordinary Ethernet cable and I connected it to the RS485 port, and then I connected it to the RS485 port over here. And you can see that in a typical Ethernet cable, it connects just fine. I turned on the inverter, tried to set it to the lithium setting. I will show you exactly how I did that after this. And then I got a fault error and it didn't work. So next, I was like, okay, I'm guessing that since this is going to the BMS of the battery, I should connect it to the BMS. So I connected it to there. Again, set it to the lithium setting, fault arrow went off. There's a light down here that turns red. I'm just like, okay, this thing is failing. I don't know what's going on. So I was like, okay, maybe it's the CAN port. So I went ahead and switched it to the CAN port and left it on the BMS setting, and then turned the Growatt on. And this time, the fault light didn't turn on, but the red light down here still turned on. So I'm like, oh my God, this thing still doesn't work. So at that point, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's the pin placement of these Ethernet cables. It can't be just a standard Ethernet cable. Maybe it's kind of like how the SOK battery is, where you need to switch the number 2 pin with the number 6 pin in the cable for it to communicate with Growatt inverters. So I was like, I bet that's it. So I went to currentconnected.com and I ordered an Ethernet cable for an SOK battery. And they emailed me back the next day saying, we can't find where you bought one of our batteries. So we're not going to send you this cable because this cable is proprietary to the SOK battery. So I basically was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I know how to crimp Ethernet cable. So I went ahead and crimped my own cable. This cable right here. It is an 8-pin RJ45 cable for Ethernet. And what I did was I switched the number 2 and number 6 pins. So that way it's basically the same as the SOK cable. Again, I plugged it into the battery. I plugged it into the Growatt. And guess what? Nothing worked. It didn't work. Fault light turned on. Nothing worked. So again, I finally reached out to EFG-Battery, and Eric told me, here's exactly the steps that you need to take in order to get this to work. And I read over those steps and I was like, I've done that and it didn't work. What's going on? So let me show you exactly how you do it. So first we're going to turn on our Growatt. Okay, now that it's fully booted up, we're going to go ahead and go over to, we're going to hold Enter down to get to the menu, and we're going to go down to number 5. So number 5, we're in user mode right now. Now you're going to switch that once you get the cable connected. Once you get the Ethernet cable connected, we're going to switch that to Li, which I believe stands for lithium. And you'll see when in this setting, there's also an orange light that's lit. And please let me know in the comments what these lights stand for. I looked in the manual and I just couldn't find it. So if you know, that would be great. Okay, but all you do is you connect an ordinary Ethernet cable. You connect it from the CAN port, okay? And on your battery, you need to make sure that at the ADS, the number 1 pin is set to the on position. So we're connecting it to the CAN, and then over here on the Growatt, we're connecting it to the BMS. Okay? Just like that. And now in this setting, we're going to go ahead and hit enter to get over here. And then we're going to go up to lithium and we're going to hit enter. And then in number 36 setting, you want to have it set to L52. So go ahead and hit enter, enter, enter. And then it clicks over. And now you can hit escape. And you'll notice that there's no fault light, which is what happened before. But what I saw is down here, I saw this red light right here. And this red light, every time I saw a red light, I'm like, oh, this thing is not working. But this thing is working. If you, let's see. If you go up a couple times, it will show you the battery percentage on the Growatt itself. And that does match the state of charge of the battery pack itself. I mean, can you believe how easy that was? Regular Ethernet cable. All you gotta do is plug it in from the CAN port of the battery to the BMS port of the Growatt, and then in the number 5 setting, select LI, and make sure and use the number 52 port. I believe that's what it's called. The P, is it P52? In number 36, use P52. And then once you hit enter a few times, it will click over and you are connected to your battery. So what I would recommend for people is the fault light on the Growatt, follow that. If there's an error, the fault light will turn on. I would actually put this cover back on here so you don't see that red light, because that red light is what confused me the most about thinking this didn't work, when in all actuality I had it working. I just didn't think it was working because I saw that red light. All right, and now this whole thing, my laptop, the battery, and the Growatt are all communicating at the same time. So let's go ahead and turn the laptop back on, and we're going to turn on the software. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start charging this battery, and you'll be able to see it on the computer that it is charging. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so now you can see the screen on my laptop with the PBMS tools. So let's go ahead and connect to the battery. Okay, and it shows right here that the pack current is actually negative 0.8, because that is the standby consumption of the Growatt. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I want to charge up this battery a little bit. So, and I went ahead and set it to 10 amps of AC charging, because for me there's no reason to crank it up to 20 or 30 amps, because as of right now I don't need it to charge that quickly. So let's go ahead and plug in the Growatt. Again, I just have this extension cord for temporary charging. So let's go ahead and plug it in. The Growatt will click over. There we go. And you'll actually see on the software that the pack current is going from negative 0.8. It's showing a positive, and it will get up to 10 amps. And that is exactly what the battery shows as well. See right there, the battery shows that we're charging 7. It's slowing down, but it'll get right around 10 amps. And that's what it shows on the software as well. You can see that the software is running on the laptop, which is connected to my battery, which is connected to my Growatt, which is in turn plugged into the wall. So we do have full live communication between all 3 devices. All right, with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit that like button. If you have any questions about how I connected things together, or any of the items that I used, I'll have links to everything down in the description. But go ahead and leave a comment if you have any questions. And if you like my channel, please consider subscribing. It really does help out. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.